Court documents tell a tragic story of a woman allegedly stalking her ex-boyfriend and traveling to his D.C. apartment to kill him. 37-year-old Nijinsky Dix tells police she blacked out and doesn't remember what happened.
This is the story of Nijinsky Dix, a 40-year-old PhD student and employee at the University of Notre Dame, whose life took a dark turn marked by obsession and tragedy. Initially known for her work in educational outreach programs, Nijinsky became embroiled in a tumultuous relationship with Terry Hickman, a 44-year-old recent divorcee. As their casual romance evolved during the pandemic, Nijinsky's inability to accept the end of their relationship spiraled into a dangerous obsession. On November 14, 2020, this obsession culminated in a shocking act of violence when Nijinsky fatally shot Terry in his Washington, D.C. apartment. The aftermath of her actions led to a significant legal battle, revealing the complexities of her psyche and the tragic consequences of one-sided love. What fueled Nijinsky Dix's obsession with Terry Hickman? How did a life full of potential end in a brutal act of violence? Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. This story takes us to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., officially known as the District of Columbia, is the capital of the United States. Washington, D.C. serves as the political center of the United States and is known for its iconic landmarks, historic sites, museums, and vibrant cultural scene. In this setting, a tragic crime unfolded, profoundly impacting the lives of those involved. Nijinsky Dix is a 40-year-old woman originally from South Bend, Indiana. She was deeply dedicated to her education. She was pursuing a PhD in criminology, law, and justice at the University of Illinois Chicago, reflecting her commitment to advancing her knowledge in the field. Her academic background was complemented by her professional role as the director of a talent search program at the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, where she was responsible for identifying and nurturing talent among students. Nijinsky lived in South Bend, Indiana, but her activities often took her beyond the city. Her life was marked by a dual focus on education and professional development, and she had achieved significant success in both areas. Nijinsky was known to be diligent and driven, qualities that were evident in her pursuit of a doctorate, while simultaneously managing a demanding role at Notre Dame. However, despite her professional accomplishments, Nijinsky struggled with personal relationships, but things would soon change for Nijinsky when she met a 44-year-old man by the name of Terry Hickman. Terry Hickman was born on October 20, 1976, in Niles, Michigan. He was a man known for his vibrant personality and ambitious nature. Raised between Chicago and Vandalia, Michigan, Terry developed a deep love for football from an early age. He excelled in the sport, quickly becoming a dominant force on the field through Pee Wee sports and high school football in Niles, Michigan. His talent did not go unnoticed, as he received numerous full-ride offers to play college football. Terry initially chose to attend Morris Brown in Atlanta, drawn by the opportunities the university offered. However, when the school lost its accreditation, he made the difficult decision to transfer to Olivet College in Michigan. During his time at Olivet, he not only continued to play football, but also entered fatherhood, a role he embraced wholeheartedly. A man of ambition and drive, Terry became the CEO of PCS, a million-dollar crude oil family trucking company, in 2008. This role allowed him to provide for his family while pursuing his entrepreneurial dreams. His work took him to various places, including North Dakota, where he started the business with his son and uncle, and later Tennessee, where he lived near his mother, aunt, daughter, and brother. Despite his travels, Terry always made sure to remain close to his family, reflecting the importance he placed on familial bonds. He was the father of 3 children. In recent years, Terry relocated to Washington, D.C. to be near his eldest daughter, who was attending college there. Nijinsky Dix and Terry Hickman's paths crossed in early 2020 when they met at a bar in Indiana. Their initial connection led to a brief but intense relationship that lasted for almost 3 months. Their relationship, though short-lived, was intense and fraught with complications. Nijinsky wanted an exclusive relationship, while Hickman preferred to date other women and focus on his business and adult children. This decision did not sit well with Nijinsky. Terry, still reeling from a recent divorce, was clear about his desire for a casual, non-committal relationship. However, Nijinsky, who was emotionally invested, struggled to accept his boundaries. Her attempts to force a deeper connection led to an increasingly obsessive and intrusive behavior. By August 2020, Terry had taken the drastic step of blocking Nijinsky's phone number after requesting multiple times that she stop calling him. Despite this, Nijinsky's attempts to reconnect grew more desperate and alarming. She even reached out to Terry's family, offering them money and trying to insert herself into his life in ways he found both intrusive and distressing. Nijinsky's behavior became increasingly erratic. She purchased a gun and was known to have made violent threats towards Terry in messages to friends. On the morning of November 14, Nijinsky flew from her home in Indiana to Washington, D.C. With a loaded gun and ammunition in her luggage, she rented a car and drove directly to Terry's apartment. Her actions this day would shock the D.C. community, and Nijinsky would find herself at the heart of a high-profile murder case that would expose the dark side of her troubled psyche. The afternoon of the 14th began like any other for Terry Hickman. Living on the 1000 block of 4th Street, Terry was unaware that the day would end in violence and tragedy. Around 5:26 p.m., the serenity of the neighborhood was shattered by the sound of gunfire, prompting a flurry of emergency calls. When police arrived at Terry's apartment, they were met with a horrifying scene. Terry was found sprawled on the floor of his living room, with multiple gunshot wounds to the back of his head. Nearby, Nijinsky was discovered kneeling beside him, holding a 9mm handgun. The officers were greeted by a chaotic and emotional situation. Nijinsky's mother was on the phone with emergency services, and through a speakerphone, she relayed her daughter's desperate and disjointed remarks. "He pushed me, and I shot him." Officers placed Nijinsky under arrest. Nijinsky's arrest followed a chaotic series of events that revealed a deeply troubled individual. Witnesses reported hearing gunshots and a woman's desperate cries for help. Some reported seeing Terry with a woman they later identified as Nijinsky just prior to the shooting. Following the shooting, Nijinsky was taken to a local hospital where she complained of memory loss and back pain, but showed no signs of physical trauma. Her erratic behavior, including frequent lapses in memory and distressing reactions to photos of Terry, suggested severe psychological distress. The confrontation that followed was both sudden and brutal. The ferocity of the attack left little doubt about the severity of Nijinsky's emotional state and her intent. In the aftermath of the shooting, Nijinsky was charged with second-degree murder while armed, possession of an unregistered firearm, and possession of unregistered ammunition. The case drew significant media attention due to Nijinsky's academic background and her connections to reputable institutions.
Now to this bizarre and disturbing story of a professor from Notre Dame charged with murdering her ex-boyfriend here in D.C. 37-year-old Nijinsky Dix, an accomplished professor with a PhD in gender studies, is now behind bars accused of shooting 44-year-old Terry Hickman 5 times at close range. Delia Gonsalves is live in Southwest with the latest on this tragic case. I suppose, Delia, when you peel back the layers here, there is a lot going on.
Absolutely, and it is a very difficult story to tell when you read through the court documents. It just spells out a very difficult and tragic story, obviously with a very horrible ending. Dix tells police she doesn't remember how she got to D.C. In fact, doesn't even know how she got to 4th Street here in Southwest, but according to those court records, she arrived to the apartment right behind me on Saturday. By 5:30, neighbors tell police they heard gunshots and then a woman screaming, "Please wake up, someone help me." Court documents tell a tragic story of a woman allegedly stalking her ex-boyfriend and traveling to his D.C. apartment to kill him. 37-year-old Nijinsky Dix tells police she blacked out and doesn't remember what happened. And even though many of the victims' neighbors did not want to talk on camera, they helped detectives piece this story together. According to court records, after hearing gunshots, neighbors saw Dix panicked and pacing the 5th floor balcony, a gun in one hand, a cell phone in the other. When police got to the apartment, she was screaming but refused to open the door. When detectives got management to help them inside, the court documents say Terry Hickman was lying face down, shot 5 times in the back of the head and neck. Dix was kneeling over his body, one arm raised, another hiding the gun in her lap. After police cuffed her, court records say they opened her purse to hear someone on speakerphone. It was her mother on the cell phone. According to the court records, she told police her daughter said, quote, "He pushed me and I shot him." Dix was checked out at the hospital. Doctors say she displayed no signs of trauma. The court records indicate during her police interview, Dix was shown a picture of Hickman. She responded by saying in part, "Please make sure he is gone. You don't do people you love like that. I'm sorry." I talked to a lot of neighbors here earlier this afternoon who were shocked that this happened in a fairly quiet community here. And they said it doesn't matter how fancy the apartment is. Domestic violence can affect anyone. You don't know what's happening behind someone's doors. That's what a neighbor told me. Now, Hickman goes on to where we hear in the police report that Hickman dated Dix for 3 months. They broke up in May, and Hickman's relatives tell police, according to these court records, that after they broke up, he found someone new and was about to move to Chicago. Hickman, I'm told, a very nice guy, a father of a local girl who attends college in D.C. He was 44 years old.
During the trial, Nijinsky's erratic behavior and psychological instability were evident, revealing a deeply troubled individual whose actions had led to devastating consequences. On February 13, 2023, Nijinsky reached a plea deal, admitting guilt to the charge of second-degree murder while armed. As part of the agreement, other charges, including first-degree murder and possession of a firearm during a crime of violence, were dropped. The plea deal was seen as a concession to avoid the possibility of a harsher sentence that might have resulted from a conviction on more severe charges. The sentencing phase of Nijinsky's trial was marked by emotional testimonies from Terry's family. His ex-wife and daughter spoke of their profound grief and the impact of Terry's death on their lives. Terry's daughter, in particular, lamented the brief time she had with her father and the future they had anticipated together. The pain expressed by his family underscored the personal tragedy at the heart of the case. On September 29, 2023, Judge Marissa DiMeo sentenced Nijinsky to 18 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. The sentence was the result of a judicial process that took into account both the severity of the crime and Nijinsky's psychological state. The court also recommended that Nijinsky receive mental health treatment during her incarceration, acknowledging the complex factors contributing to her actions. As Nijinsky begins her prison sentence, the case remains a poignant reminder of the destructive power of unresolved emotional turmoil and the tragic outcomes that can arise from obsessive and unhealthy relationships. The story of Nijinsky Dix and Terry Hickman serves as a stark example of how personal distress and misguided passion can culminate in devastating violence. What happened to Terry Hickman should never have occurred. This tragedy highlights the critical need for timely intervention when someone exhibits concerning behavior. It is important that people be educated on the warning signs of obsessive behavior, such as stalking or threats, and take them seriously to help protect themselves from these kinds of violent acts. Keeping a record of these incidents and breaking the stigma around men reporting such behavior to authorities is crucial. Men often feel they need to handle it themselves, but seeking help, setting clear boundaries, involving trusted friends or family, and obtaining legal protection like restraining orders can be life-saving steps in situations involving potential threats from an obsessed ex-partner. The impact on Terry's family is profound, as they are left grappling with the loss of a loved one, while Nijinsky faces the consequences of her irreversible actions. My condolences to Terry Hickman's friends and family. May you continue to heal and one day find peace. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.